thankful for wavy stories. Hold on to the lifetime we won't get back. I know these rivers carry on. People tend to stick to you after time. Places tend to do the same as we do. This river carries on and on.
Hello and welcome to Kankakee Podcast, where we talk about the people and places of Kankakee County. I'm Jake LaMore. I hope you had a great 4th of July, although by the time this is released, 4th of July would have been like 2 weeks ago, but we're literally recording this episode not too long after the 4th of July weekend. So regardless, I hope you're doing well. And today's guest, I'm really excited to meet. He's been a listener of the podcast since we started a couple months ago, and he reached out to me on my Facebook page, which you can always reach me there too. It's if you just type in Jake LaMore, you'll find it. And he has a story about some of his relatives, which you actually may have heard about. And we're going to get into that. I don't want to take away his glory of his family members. So let's welcome Ryan Hall to the podcast.
Hi, Jake. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, man. I'm really glad you're here. I'm really grateful for your support and
absolutely,
listening to Kankakee Podcast. You had some very kind things to say. So
absolutely, yeah, you bet. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. So you are what would it be? A grand.
These are my great aunts, so I'm her great nephew.
Okay, great. Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, we're going far back. So I'll just go ahead and say it. Lula.
Yes.
And Mable Martin.
Yes.
Better known as the Globetrotting Martin sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea that these two existed until you messaged me, and I'm like, they're known as the Globetrotting Martin sisters. I'm like, I've never heard of these people, and I'm like, this is exciting because this is what I live for, is to learn about new people and places, whether it happened 70 years ago or
right.
whether it happened 2 years ago. But so this is pretty exciting. So. Where are you originally? You're born and raised in Kankakee
Yes,
County,
I was born and raised in Kankakee. Grew up in the Kankakee area. I'm originally from Limestone, so I attended the Herscher School District. I attended both Limestone and Herscher High School. Graduated Herscher in 2015, and then later on went into college at Western Illinois University. Attended for 4 years there. Had a great 4 years. Got my degree in broadcasting.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, So I got my degree in broadcasting. I did both radio and television.
Which is your favorite? Are you more of a TV guy or a?
I don't know if it's a favorite. I really like both areas. Mm-hmm. I think, since you worked in both areas, you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah.
I started off working in television. I worked behind the camera a lot. I really love that. If I had to choose one, I would say something to do with film production or TV.
Yeah.
Because I like to be a visual storyteller. I like to tell people stories. I did that a lot in college, and that was kind of like my passion for, and I'm kind of searching for that, and that's something I'm kind of doing right now, and it's like slowly working my way up there. But that's something that I'm trying to get into right now, and I've been kind of doing that for I'm going to say about a year and a half since the pandemic started.
Okay.
I've been kind of doing that. So.
Nice, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I can't wait to see what you got going on.
Absolutely,
up in that noggin of yours. So.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We love visuals, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Whereas if you're listening to a podcast or you're listening to radio, you have to make things up in your mind.
You have to use your imagination.
We always call it the theater of the mind.
Exactly.
I'm sure you heard that numerous times.
Yeah.
And But so do you work in broadcasting now?
Kind of. Well, I mostly work in video production.
Okay.
So I work in freelance. I'm doing freelance right now. Yeah.
Nice.
So I've been kind of all over the place lately, and it's been slow, but it's been working well with the experience I'm getting. So
okay, good for you, man. Good
Thank
for
you.
So the Martin sisters.
Yes.
What side of the family is that on?
So
because your last name is Hall. Obviously.
Yes, that's correct. So this will be on my mom's side of the family, and this will be on my mom's dad's side of the family. So there's actually 3 sisters. So there's Mable and Lula Martin, and then the third sister her name was Vivian Martin, which later known as Vivian Boyd. That's my great grandma.
Okay.
And she married to her husband John Boyd. They had 2 sons. They were fraternal twins, Robert Boyd and William Boyd. Robert Boyd would be my grandpa, and William Boyd would be my great uncle. And Robert, of course, that's my mom's dad. So these will be their aunts. And then my mom, that'll be her great aunt, and then this will be my great great aunt.
Okay, wow, that's so cool, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit of family dynamics there.
yeah. So where should we start with the Globetrotting Martin sisters? I mean, I'm assuming they were born and raised here.
Yeah, so they're from Kankakee. They both attended Kankakee High School in like the 1920s, so it was like way back then. And I remember Mabel. She would tell us she would visit her and her husband Schubert Dankers. They would visit my grandma's every summer, and they would come over to our house pretty much almost all the time, and they would tell us their travel stories and what they went through. And I remember her telling about her teaching career and how she wanted to become a traveler, and it was in high school when she wanted to do that. And this took place in the 1920s, and she wanted to do that like right after high school, but she decided that she wanted to do college, so that was put on hold. So she went to the University of Illinois Champaign, and she graduated there in 1931. And and from there on, she kind of started traveling in the 1930s, and that was her first trip was Hawaii in 1939. And there's like a picture of them, I believe, somewhere, and you can look at the Kankakee County Museum archives, in the 1930s.
Did they both go on that first trip together, or was it just Mable or Lula?
It was Mable and Lula.
Okay.
And they had other friends. They had other friends too that would travel along with them. It wasn't just those 2 ones. So they had other friends that would travel. They had a couple other friends, none of which I'm familiar with, but that's what I remember her telling me. So, But the late 1930s, that was kind of like their travel adventures began when they traveled around the world. So,
and even at that time, like traveling was obviously it was a lot more convenient, but it was still kind of scary,
right?
A little bit. Like if you told your mom or your dad or whatever, yeah, I'm gonna go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And because obviously you can't just pick up a cell phone anywhere you're at,
I know.
So it's still kind of, and planes were, still kind of newer to the public.
Yeah. They would that was the other thing. The different styles that they traveled in, that was also kind of unique too. They traveled by like jet plane, a dugout canoe, an ox cart. So they did all kinds of
an ox cart. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where was the ox cart?
Oh, I don't recall necessarily. I wish I remember, but I remember her telling me she used an ox cart.
Gosh,
but I can't imagine traveling one of those things though.
Yeah, I wonder if that would have been like somewhere in Europe or the Middle East, or actually it could have been
anywhere really. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Middle East or Europe. Yeah, that they were there.
Or it could have even been South America for that matter.
All that we know.
Right. Yeah. Wow. So their first trip was Hawaii, and that was the late 30s.
That was like 1939, and it was kind of interesting because Mabel wanted to be in the military, and that was 2 years shy of Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
And so the dean of the U of I women, the dean of women's at U of I, was trying to convince her to go into teaching still, which she did, but she really wanted to be in the military. And
what did she want? Did you know what she wanted to do in the military?
So
exactly?
yes,
because things were kind of limited for women at that time.
right.
Obviously.
So it was her surprise. The suggestion was made by the U of I dean of women's, and she got a letter in the mail letting her know that she had been tapped to become assigned to the newly formed, what was called SPARS at the time, which was a fledgling women's unit. And so she was in that. And then later on, she got promoted to personal procurement officer in the 9th Naval District, which was in St. Louis. And she served that position until the war ended, and her service ended in 1946.
Oh, so she actually did go.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's incredible. So she must have been able to do quite a bit of traveling during her
Yeah, she
time
did. She did
enlisted?
quite a bit of she did quite a bit of that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So what exactly was she doing in you said SPARS was the name of
SPARS? I don't know what she actually did there. That's I wish again I wish I knew that, but
Yeah.
But she was in that area. So
And this was Lula.
this was Mable.
This was Mable.
Yeah.
My apologies.
That's okay.
Was she the older one of the two?
I think so. Yeah. I think she was the oldest. She was the older one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I wonder what Lula was doing during this time. Was she traveling alone, or was she still just going to college or in school? I imagine.
I think. I'm pretty sure she was in school at the time.
Mm-hmm.
From what I recall. She also did teaching too. She did some teaching. She taught like math. She taught geometry at Kankakee High School. She did that. So,
and that would have been, I'm pretty sure that would have been before there were two high schools, because that didn't come until
yeah,
later
I know that was
on.
the other thing. Yeah, I think she taught at Westview,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So, are there any stories that you know of when Mable was in the service that are of interest, or you didn't hear much about?
I didn't hear much about her
that.
service. She didn't talk about too much of it either. She told me a lot about her teaching career stuff, and that's what I kind of have with me. So
okay, so she gets out of the service in 46.
Yes,
and then is that when things really took off for the Martin sisters?
That was when they were still traveling quite a bit. So that was
even during
in the middle of it. Yeah,
even during the 40s when she was in the service.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was still they were doing a lot because they went into teaching, and then in the summer they would do the travel logs and everything. Mable first taught at Shabance High School, and that was I think that was before when she went into Coast Guard. And later on, she went to Peatone High School until she left there in 1958. And she went on to teaching AP English at Bradley Bourbonnais Community High School from the fall of 1958 to 1970. And she was like the dean of the English department at BBCHS. So.
Okay, so that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you know what their next trip was? After Hawaii, or after after she got out of the service? What were some of the...
I don't necessarily recall the order of the actual trip. They just went to a lot of different places.
Yeah.
That was kind of their whole safari journey, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was when they kind of went to all these different places and around the world. Yeah.
What were the ones that either Mable told you about, or maybe your mom or relative stories from all these travels? Because they racked up over 1 million miles easily.
Oh yeah,
because they went to. I think I was reading from the Daily Journal. It was 45 different countries.
Yeah,
from
75 different countries.
Or 75 different countries.
75 different countries, over 1 million miles they traveled.
My gosh, that's crazy. So, what were the stories that you were told?
A lot of I remember their dances, which you can see in the photos. They did all kinds of these dances and everything that they did. One of the most well-known ones, this is in the Kankakee history book as well, from 1911 to 1953. There's a photo of them in their Eskimo costumes in Alaska. This was from 1946.
Oh my gosh.
And they're doing a pose they're doing a dance pose. It's called the blueberry dance.
The blueberry dance?
The blueberry dance.
Huh. Interesting. I almost want to Google blueberry dance and see what comes up.
I was trying to look something up like that to I remember her doing the dance one time. But can't remember how the dance
Of course,
goes.
I type in blueberry dance and I get Blueberry Fago by Lil Mosey. I should have figured that was going to come up. Oh, man. Yeah, or maybe I could have put in Eskimo dance. Maybe that would have...
Alaska Eskimo dance,
yeah,
blueberry dance, something
like that. But anyway, so and then, so they were really into learning the specific culture wherever they were at, learning the dances. Because I know, obviously, I saw the picture of them with the Native Indian or the Native American in, I think it was Mexico or somewhere near Mexico. Or no, this was in Colorado. The Garden of the Gods in Colorado is where this photo comes from. So what were some other interesting dances that you were told about?
There was, I have a couple of pictures here so I remember. So the Eskimo dance, this is, there's a native dance that they used as well. Let's see, I'm trying to think what other dances are, whatever their ones they use. The hilo hado or hula dance that she did was the hula. She learned it from the legendary Hilo Hattie. And I remember her doing the hula dance too, when that was her Hawaii trip in 1939 that she did. So that was one of the ones I remember. I just remember the blueberry dance, the Hilo Hattie hula dance, and those were the two ones I remember her doing, and whatnot. So, and it was interesting.
Well, what I found interesting from just the little bit that I learned from the Daily Journal article is, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, but from what I read, they actually kind of turned this not necessarily into a business, but like a hobby where they would actually take people on these trips with them.
Correct. She took some high school students with her on her trips, if I recall correctly. I remember her saying she mentioned she'd taken a few of her high school students back then, and they would go on these trips with her to kind of see the world from themselves. And later on,
and that's kind of where like their Globetrotting Martin sisters name,
that's where
kind of came in, because they would set up all these elaborate trips, right? They would do a ton of research, and like, let's say they're going to Egypt or something, and they would do a ton of research on where to go, right? And then someone would tag along with them. It just blows my mind that they were able to do all of this while being on a teacher's salary. I mean,
I can't imagine what it was like back then. Like, good grief.
No, I mean, obviously the dollar was worth more. Back then, but still, I mean, your teachers, even teachers today, I mean, they're still not making what they should be making. So
that was like Mabel's, especially for Aunt Mable. That was like her passion, and Lula felt the same way too. It's like they always wanted to, like, Mabel always told me that there was so much to the world. There was so much more to the world to see, to explore it, than just being in a classroom setting. And she got to do that, and I thought that was really cool. And of course, I can't imagine with like time management. I think about that now, and how she organized it, but she was able to make it work and everything. And I think that's what people appreciate was all of these experiences that they've been on, and the stuff that they got to do, and it's just really cool to how that all ties in together. So
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder, where did they pick up on this this travel bug or habit? Do you know, or was it just like something they were born with, or was there someone else in your family?
It was just something they were born with, I guess, because like I said, their inspiration came from a high school classroom, and I guess, and Mable started off with that, and then she shared it with Lula, and then they kind of shared the same feeling with that, and that's where it kind of took off from there. Just being in a classroom environment. Mable loved learning lots of different things, and so it was just kind of how that happened, how that took place in the classroom setting. So
Yeah. So you brought some stuff with you.
Yes.
And I'm very intrigued by it.
I'm very excited. I'll show you. I could show you this last one. I'm very excited for this one.
Are those photos or slides or what? What's in that? I'm going to be as descriptive as I possibly can.
Is it okay if I save it to the end?
You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you know what this is. I'm excited. I found this in the attic. Well, this was in our attic for quite some time, but I just realized what this was this morning.
Okay.
So I got it from the attic.
Okay. And I'll be sure I'm going to take pictures of all these things.
Okay.
And I'll post them on our website so that everyone can view them. But,
okay.
But yeah, I would love to see what you got here.
Yeah. So I brought a couple photos here. Fortunately, these don't have labels. I thought Mable labeled them, and I asked my mom too. And
that's kind of surprising.
Yeah, I know. She usually does. But I think this was like another copy that we got from somebody else.
Okay.
So this was a photo of them, and this is one of the many costumes they will wear.
Okay.
They wear all sorts of these costumes, and Mable at her age. When she came down to my grandma's house, she would still wear these costumes.
They almost look like twins.
They
almost.
I know. That's the crazy part. I thought they were twins too, and my mom says to me, she says, "Oh, they're not twins," and I'm like, "What?"
I mean, the age difference must just be very slight.
I know. A lot of people think they're identical twins, but unfortunately, they're not.
Okay.
So
yeah, the picture I'm looking at, it looks like it's obviously some type of. I can't tell if it's like a Mexican Native American.
That's what I'm thinking. It might be from Mexico.
Or
that's
South
what it
America,
looks like. Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, at first I thought it was Mexico, but it could be like another country from South Africa or South America.
Yeah.
But they have all sorts of these costumes, and
that's so cool.
This one, I believe this was in Hawaii. This is a picture of Lula. That's Lula. I think that's in 1939.
Wow.
In her Hawaii trip. So, and we have other ones too in our attic as well for keepsakes.
And it looks like there's on the back of this photo that you're saying is from Hawaii. It looks like there's something Mexico stamped on the back.
Oh, it is.
I don't know if you noticed that. See where it says Mexico?
I see that. Yeah, it's very faded.
Yeah.
Maybe this is from Mexico or something.
It could be.
It could be, yeah. It just looked like it was from Hawaii. Because of all the flowers.
Someplace exotic.
Yeah.
Or in a warmer climate.
Yeah, you would think because of what the trees are,
the trees and the
yeah.
beautiful flowers she's got. And,
Or maybe it was probably where they made these pictures.
I was going to say it could have been printed when they were
when they was printed. Yeah, I was going to say so that could be So
those are really
those were a
pictures.
couple of pictures, and then I can do this now. This is a clown laundry basket.
A clown laundry basket.
I got this.
I was wondering what in the world that was.
I got this for my first birthday. This is a clown laundry basket. This is from Trinidad.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then to use this, there's a little zipper back here, and you would unzip this, and that's where you would put all the clothes. And then it would kind of
so that was supposed to be that was supposed to be where you put dirty clothes?
Yeah.
Or
this would be like my baby clothes, obviously, infant clothes.
Because you said you were one.
I was a year old. When
Oh
she gave
my
me this.
gosh,
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
And we kept this thing, and this has got a little hanger thing. So this is just it's so funny the way it looks when it hangs.
Yeah, I bet when people see a picture of this clown, they're going to be like, "That is creepy."
I know.
Did it ever?
A lot.
Did it scare you as
I
a
kid
kid?
you not. A lot of these dolls, which I'll show you here in a minute, a lot of these dolls were like very, very disturbing looking. I brought like some of the nicer ones here with me, even though people might think they might be a little bit disturbing. This is the nicest ones I can find.
I think the dolls aren't. Just from glancing at them, I think the clown is the one that...
The clown,
Does the clown have a name, or is it just...
I never named the clown. I was going to name it Bozo one year, and it never stuck with me. I don't know what it could be named of.
It might not be, but it's interesting that they got that from Trinidad, and that must have been... I just wonder if that's how they took care of their clothes in...
I think.
Was it made for something else?
I think with families that have kids, that's how they did laundry stuff like this, because they were like actual laundry baskets they used, but like families with children, they would use stuff like this.
Yeah,
and then they had other like other things too, other than just clowns.
Now, do you know how old that is?
Oh,
because they stopped doing their traveling in the 80s, right?
This had to be it was 1980 something, I think, or late 70s, early 80s, I think. This had to be from like possibly the 50s or 60s.
Wow.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because I feel like that's when clowns were the most popular.
Mm-hmm. They were, yeah. There was another birthday gift. I don't have it with me today. She also got this on my first birthday too. It was a wooden bear that was lifting a dumbbell. And it was from Russia. She got it in 1972. And the bear leans forward kind of like this, and there's a little button that you push it, and the bear goes back. And there's a white string that you pull it, and when you pull the white string, the bear lifts the dumbbell.
Oh,
I thought it was like the coolest thing. Yeah, she got that in Russia. That was another gift I remember. So that was like a keepsake, and so we still have that. I believe it might be taken apart together, but like we still have like the pieces together.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
And these were some of the dolls that my mom played with. These were a gift to her. This is from Japan. I remember.
I was going to say
that, because of the costume.
She's wearing one of those like straw circular hats.
Circular hats. Yep. So this is from Japan, and these were from other countries too. I believe this was from Africa. I think.
I was going to say that one looks like it could be African.
Yeah.
Possibly. What is that made out of?
Some of it's straw. Most material is like straw material.
And paper of some kind?
Yeah, paper, straw.
Yeah, she looks, because, so this doll I'm looking at currently is the one that she's got, she's carrying a basket on her head.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like that was an African or a South American thing.
American culture thing.
One of those. Yeah, or maybe they both did it. But, wow, this is all handmade. It's on a little...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here we go. Guatemala.
Okay.
It says it right on the bottom.
There it goes.
1977.
I know she written these somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That's really neat. And it looks like, this must be a water jug on her shoulder?
That's what
or
it looks
is it
like.
A bird? It's either a bird or well, no, I bet. Or it could be, you know what? No, that's a child. I think. So this doll has a wrap that goes around her. She's got a wrap that goes around her chest, and it looks like it might be a baby that she's got strapped to her back.
Could be, yeah.
It's either a baby, a water jug, or a bird.
Who knows what?
One of the two. I bet it.
Again, use your imagination.
We're using our imagination, yeah. And like I said, if you want to look at these things, You should be able to find them at KankakeePodcast.com.
Yep. This is from Mexico. This last one here.
Okay.
You can see Mexico. It's
She's got I was going to say she's got a big sombrero, so I would think that's from Mexico.
Yeah. That was the other thing too. They had like a lot of different hats and stuff. I think one of them was from a Mexican hat she had, and she brought one time, and she had the Japan hat and that kind of thing. And but yeah, so very interesting stuff. These are the 3 nicest dolls I could find that don't look so creepy.
I don't think those look creepy. So now I'm wondering what the creepy ones actually look like.
I would say instead of creepy, they're like meaner looking. Like they just look mean.
Yeah, that's funny. That's too funny. So what's
even this looks mean.
Oh no, that clown has a kind of a mischievous look. Like it's a smile, but it's like a mischievous looking smile.
More mischievous, me looking. One of the two. I know.
Oh gosh, I'd love to. How would you like to wake up with that in the morning? It's just hanging in your bedroom and just
I actually had this hung up in my bedroom.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm sure it was hanging up in your bedroom as a kid.
We never. Well, we put this in our closet now, but we never hung it up in the closet. So. Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so this last thing that you have.
I'm excited for this. Okay. This is what nobody knows that we have this. So when they first started doing their presentation, they would do presentations of their travels.
Okay.
And they was called travel logs or something like that. And they first did it on slideshows. That's what they first did it.
They had slides. Yeah.
And then of course later on it was produced into motion pictures. So what they had was they had a camera. So this is the actual camera that they actually used.
Cool. Do you know if that's we can look at it, but if it's because I actually have some cameras of my own that are 8mm. I don't have any 16mm, but you need help with that?
Yeah. I got it.
There you go.
It's a little tricky to open. This is the camera. Whoops. This is the camera that they actually used for their travel vlogs.
It looks like an 8mm. Can you mind
it's actually yes. Yeah. This is a
or is this a 16?
It's a 16mm.
Okay. Yep, I see it.
Yeah, magazine cinema.
It's a Kodak.
Something. Kodak. It's a Kodak camera.
Okay.
And this was colored.
Wow.
So they would use that camera to produce their videos.
It's excuse me. It's so amazing that you still have this.
Yeah. I'm not sure I think we were given to that when either Lula passed away or Mable passed away. But that's something that we don't tell anybody about this film.
Yeah.
But that's something that we figured now would be a good time to show it off. And
what I find interesting about this 16mm camera, and you'll see if you look at the pictures on our website, but the outside casing of it is like a leather.
Yes, it is
of some kind, which I don't know if the cameras I have. I don't have a 16mm, but I've got a couple 8mm, and I've just never seen that. It's usually. I mean, obviously it's metal,
right?
But like on top of the metal, there's some type of leather skin on it, which like I said, I've never seen, but that's really cool. Wow. That's amazing that you still have this.
Yeah.
I wonder what year this one is.
Oh goodness.
I'm sure I could easily look that up.
Yeah,
online.
That's probably. I was gonna say like 1940s was when they got it.
It's got some age on it, so I would. It has to be 40s or or 50s. It just says it's obviously made in Rochester, New York, which is where Kodak made most of their stuff.
Right, yeah.
That's cool,
so,
man.
Yeah. It was interesting how it works, too, because there's like a little viewfinder that you use this. And then
I see the viewfinder.
They use this little hole to look through the viewfinder.
Yeah.
And to film it, there's this little crank dial.
Yes.
And you would crank it.
That has to be 40s.
So that's why I'm thinking it's 1940 something.
Yeah.
And then Yeah, you can adjust like the camera. That was the other thing in the 40s was the camera speed. You can adjust the camera speed.
Right.
on it.
There's the camera speed. There was no such thing as automatic focus.
Right. Yep.
You had to manually focus it yourself.
Uh-huh.
And but yeah, and that's the cool thing is that you didn't need batteries for this.
No, I
thing.
know. That was like the nicer part of using cameras back in the days was, no batteries needed.
Now, the couple of 8mm cameras I have,
Yeah.
some of them are run with a crank like that one.
Yes.
But then I do have one that's a newer one
Okay.
that runs on batteries.
Oh, okay.
But let me tell you, that thing, those batteries die like
I know.
Like
they go down fast.
very
Yeah.
quickly. And this 8mm, it's probably from the 60s or 70s. I'm guessing is the one that's battery operated. But
Have you used like different kinds of batteries for that camera?
no, it's double A's.
Okay.
It takes. I think it's 4 of them. It's been a
Okay.
long time
Yeah.
since I've shot anything
Okay.
with it.
Because
But
I was wondering, there's like different. I know different batteries last longer, so I was just kind of curious to see.
yeah,
if
I don't think
difference.
I don't think I tried like any other
Okay.
brands. I didn't go
Yeah,
go
yeah.
through that. But you like
Right.
having video production a video production background and broadcasting background, that's got to be so cool to have.
It's a thank you. Yeah, it's a neat piece of keepsake.
Yeah.
This is a treasure that we have in our house. Again, nobody in our family or anybody else in town knows that we have
Well,
this.
do
so,
you
yeah.
do you have the films then that
We
go
do.
with it?
Yes, when Mable passed away, Schuber produced those into DVDs.
Okay.
Which we still have, and there's like hundreds of them. And they were like well-known ones, like Kankakee to Cairo, Egypt. That's like a well-known one that a lot of the older folks know about. To their ones. There's one on YouTube. My Uncle Bill posted it a few years ago. It was their Africa trip in 1953.
Oh wow.
And it was when they were using this camera.
Using that. Okay,
Using
I'm gonna
that
have
camera.
I'll have to find that video and make sure to include
I could send
it.
you the link to that. 'Cause
Okay.
we still have that access to YouTube. And I think it's not unlisted, so he made it to the public.
Okay.
But yeah, because I remember I shared it on the Kankakee Remember When page a few years ago.
Okay.
And the thing's got like 200 something views now on YouTube.
Yeah, send me that link and I'll make
Absolutely,
sure
you
to
bet.
include that with the episode description and everything.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing about this. There's a picture in the archive.
Mhm.
I think it's Mable using this camera. In the
Okay.
picture, you can actually see this.
Okay.
So I had to double check to make sure it was the same camera because, like, I was in the attic the other day and I noticed this camera. I couldn't remember what it was for. I remember somebody mentioned it to me, but I couldn't remember. And then I looked at that picture yesterday, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's the same camera that's in our attic. And sure enough, it was.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah. So
Awesome. Well, so with Lula and Martin Mable,
yeah.
Martin, the Globetrotting
Mhm.
Martin sisters. So how does it end? I know both of them are deceased now.
Yes.
But how does the story? How does their life? How does it end for them after? When does the traveling stop and how do they live the rest of their days?
Their last big trip happened in 1953, because I can't remember where their last trip was, but that happened in 1953. But Mable married Schubert Dankers, so she became known as Miss Mable Dankers. They married in 1954, and roughly about 9-10 years later, they set sail because she wanted Schubert to see
The world, right?
the world as well. So they
Yeah.
they went like on a boat trip, and that was kind of like the last for them. And then like from there on, they did like lectures and presentations of their travel logs in town, and like they did like different presentations and that
So
kind of
they
thing.
didn't do any more traveling through.
Not too many.
Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause-
a lot of it was their presentations and slideshows from that point on. So
Because I thought I read in that journal article that they traveled through the 1980s, but
later, they kept traveling till then, but I don't
Mhm.
think it wasn't as often as they used to.
well, they had
yeah.
kids, right?
Right, yeah,
Obviously, that's how you
That's
eventually came
different, yeah,
along.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And so when did they pass away?
So
Well-
Lula passed away in 1992, I believe, 1991 or 1992. And Mable passed away in September 2007.
Okay. So what else do you remember? So you weren't born when Lula passed away.
I wasn't born. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
okay.
born in 96.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was born in 90, so I would have been 1.
Okay.
When she passed away. But what else, what else do you remember about Mable that you
I
can
remember
tell
a
us
lot
about?
of Aunt Mable. Like I said earlier, she stayed at my grandma's house. And when I was in high school, I did some landscaping in high school, and I worked for a lady who had my great aunt as an English teacher, and she says to me, "Oh, your aunt was a hoot." Like her class was good, and I believed her because my Aunt Mabel, she did some pretty interesting things around my grandma's house. Sometimes it would drive my grandmother nuts.
Yeah, like what?
A lot of the times she left the cabin doors open in the kitchen. So I don't know why. The other thing too, you would hear quite often, because when they got to that age where they had hearing aids.
Of course.
So like every 5-10 minutes, you would hear something like Schubert, Schubert, Schubert. Oh. And then there was one time
That's going to be us one day.
She was yelling for Schubert one time, and I yelled. I was probably like 6 or 7. I'm like, he's in the family room. And then and then it took them a while to get to one place. My grandma had a small house too. It took them a while to get to one place to another, and and everything, and and then there was another time. Oh, she was really good at public speaking, and I know she wanted me to get into public speaking as well. So I remember her one time. I don't know how old I was. I was probably like 5 or 6 or something. But she made me recite the Pledge of Allegiance in front of the whole family, which I wasn't too thrilled about. But
Why did she?
I don't know. I don't know why I guess I was at that age where she wanted me to recognize the American flag.
Yeah.
Which I understand that, but
Yeah.
I wasn't in the mood to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, for goodness sakes, in front of the family.
Oh, that brings back stories of how my family wanted me to sing like Christmas songs.
Oh, I
in
know.
front of
Yeah.
The other
Oh
relatives.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the singing voice I have now as I did back then. Oh, thank goodness she didn't let me sing. That would be a whole different story there.
Yeah.
When she was telling me about the Pledge of Allegiance, she was like, "Okay, now I want you to put your hand over your heart. I want you to stand up nice and tall, and I want you to use proper diction and use this natural tone and say it like you mean it." That's what she would say to me, and I was still sick. Kind of annoyed.
I just realized, what is Lula and her husband, what's their connection to the Yesteryear restaurant?
I honestly don't. I don't recall.
They were travel agents?
Oh, yes, they were both travel agents.
Okay.
Yeah. That was like their, I guess you could say, occupation.
I was just going back to this journal article, and
Okay.
it was talking about in the 1980s, Lula Martin and Mr. and Mrs. Dankers were travel agents at an agency associated with the popular Kankakee restaurant Yesteryear. So
Yeah.
I was
That
just
one,
curious.
I didn't realize about the Yesteryear's restaurant. Yeah.
Which, if you're not familiar, the Yesteryear restaurant was actually the B. Harley Bradley House.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I've always been. We're going to be doing a separate episode just on the Bradley House one day. But
Okay.
it's fascinating to know that they had a connection with that place.
It is. Yeah. That
Yeah.
is interesting. Yeah.
So many cool things. Anything else, Ryan, about? Your great
I know.
aunts that you want to share?
So you could find there's quite a few pictures up online for sure. There's a photo of them at the Kankakee Historical Museum. There's a wall where it says Faces of Kankakee County, so they're on that wall. So that's kind of cool. But we're still kind of on the hunt for those travel DVDs. We moved in we moved into a house about 8 years ago, and the travel DVDs, they're somewhere in our house, so we're kind of on the hunt for those.
You're still trying to...
We're trying to search for those. So once we find them, we're going to try to see how we can convert them to put them up online.
Yeah.
Again.
That would be great to have that.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I would love for that to happen. So we're kind of on the hunt for that now. But there is one up online. Like I mentioned, that my uncle posted. It has no music to it, but you could just see like all of the video. It's 53 minutes long, I think. So, and a lot of those DVDs are like an hour long of their travels.
And just for those that aren't super familiar with, how 8mm cameras work and 16mm cameras work.
Yeah,
there's no audio.
No,
it's just
there's
the
no
visual.
audio. Yes,
yeah.
They're on the DVDs. There is music produced to it,
right.
But that's something that wasn't on display on the YouTube thing.
But the actual camera itself does not have a microphone.
Yeah, because it doesn't have a microphone.
Yeah.
Yep, it was just video at the time.
You would have had to recording something, recording the audio separately, and then would have had the machinery to put those two things together. So
yep.
Yeah.
The other thing too that this camera was used for as well, and it's something family related. Vivian Boyd, Vivian Boyd, which is of course their sister. They had a farm which is known as the Martindale Farm in Kankakee, and that's where my grandpa and my great uncle grew up. And we have a videotape of the Martindale Farm, and I believe they used this camera to use it. It was first like black and I have this up on YouTube as well. It was first black and white, and then it was a video of them like growing up, and then like later on it was produced in color. But I believe this was the same camera that was used on the Martindale Farm.
Where was that farm located?
It was on Grinnell Road. In Kankakee. So if you're familiar with Mount Grove Cemetery,
yes,
it was like right across from that property area.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not too far. So like if you drive around the corner from like Hobby Avenue, like all those buildings are at now. Like I know there's like a gymnastics place there and everything. And then down a little further down that road is Grinnell Road. That was where the farm was located.
So it was literally on the corner there?
Yeah, it was like around the corner, around that property. There was like a house there. There was like a farm that says Martindale Farm. We actually have like the actual heavy metal sign that was like the entrance to the Martindale Farm that we have. Yeah. So a lot of these things we have now because we're the only relatives left in town.
Yeah.
So
but it's so great that
I know.
It's so great you have all those pieces.
Oh yeah. That's really something that we try to have still, and we appreciate them, and I think my whole family, we appreciate that too as well, and that's something we like to have and keep and remember. So
yeah. Well, Ryan, thank you for sharing your history about your great aunts. That's just it's so cool to say that.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to do this. This was absolutely fun. I had a great time.
Yeah, I did too. I live for stuff like this. So, just a reminder that I will make sure to have pictures of all the things that Ryan brought so that you can see them. So if you want to see them, make sure you go find this particular episode at kankakeepodcast.com, and I'll make sure to have all the pictures up there. And you can also follow us on social media as well: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Kankakee Podcast. I've been failing to mention this on the podcast, but I did start a Facebook group specifically geared towards the podcast if you want to be able to talk a little more to other listeners about different episodes, or maybe you have pictures yourself that you want to share, or maybe you remember the Martin sisters, maybe they taught you or something, but anyway, it's a Kankakee Podcast FB group. You'll find that on Facebook, and just ask to join, and I will approve your request. So we release a new episode every single Monday on all podcast platforms, and of course at kankakeepodcast.com. I'm Jake LaMore, and our theme song, of course, is by Lupe Carroll. Thank you once again, Ryan.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you very much.
People